We're in a very special parasha, very appropriate to our learning center. This is the parasha of the women. You know, there are 5 parashot in the Torah that are named after a man, and there's only one parasha in the Torah that is named after a woman. And this is our parasha, Chayei. And it's a very unique parasha. And B'ezrat Hashem, tonight is my wife's birthday. So we're going to dedicate the class to her birthday. Natalie Dvora Bat Miriam should have a year of health and success and nachat. Don't tell her on the way out, oh, we heard it's your birthday, because she totally doesn't remember it's her birthday. Okay. And we're going to use this tactic to surprise her. Tomorrow tell her Mazal Tov. Today don't say anything, because then she'll be like, oh, it's my birthday. So this morning both my daughter and me were planning. My wife is not so good with the dates. I don't think she even knows tonight is her birthday. So we're going to use it as the element of surprise. So please, if you don't mind, don't tell her anything. Tomorrow you can tell her happy birthday. But Baruch Hashem, it's her birthday. So since the parasha is talking about the ladies, about the Eshet Chayil is going about Sarah. So we're going to dedicate this class for my wife, my Eshet Chayil. And it's a very special parasha. But of course, before we start, I heard a funny joke that there was once a president of the United States. To make it more real, so we'll say Mr. Trump is driving in his car, and we're not holding any political opinions here. This is just for the joke. So he's driving in his car, and suddenly he tells the driver, listen, I want to stop in a gas station. I feel like having something to munch on. Okay, the Secret Service agents were that day in a good spirit. They're like, usually they would say, no, Mr. President, we can't stop the car. It's dangerous. But they say, okay, no, fine. You want to buy yourself some candy? Fine, we'll stop in the next gas station. The second stop in the gas station, and as he's going out to get his candy, he sees his wife talking with the guy who pumps the gas. He comes up to her and he tells her, what, you know this guy? How do you know this guy? So he tells him, yeah, when I was young, I dated him. He was my boyfriend. So the president tells her, you see? Now, if you would end up marrying him, you would have been the wife of a gas pumper. But since you married me, then you became the first lady. So she tells him, no, since you married me, you became president. So most men, they don't value their wife. To a point that he will say, if you would marry him, you would become a wife of a gas pumper, and now you married to me, you became a first lady. She answered him, no, you're president because of me. Yeah, behind every great man, there's a special, amazing woman. But the point is that we see that mostly men don't appreciate their wife. They don't value the wife, and they don't understand that what Hashem gave them. The first one that can be blamed here, and Chas v'Shalom, I'm not talking Lashon Hara about Adam HaRishon, but what did Adam HaRishon say after he sinned? He told the Kadosh Baruch Hu, Isha asher natata imadi, the woman that you gave me, she made me sin. Be a man and say, I have an opinion of my own. But he had to blame Chava. You gave me a woman and she made me sin. So unfortunately, I should have this class to the men, not to the women, but we'll let them watch the video. But usually, we'll tell them, don't worry, we'll tell them. Usually men don't really appreciate their wife. And not only appreciate, they don't value her. And this parasha comes to lay a very important foundation in Judaism, and not only in Judaism, for every individual around the world. If you notice, from the parasha of Bereshit, Every week we're building another step and another step. We started with the creation of the world, the purpose of the world, to bring the darkness, to transform the darkness into light. Then the next was Noach, about bringing the world into purity. And then Avraham Avinu with Lech Lecha, that one should constantly grow and grow. Every parasha we're building another step now. Now it comes to the step that's talking about the life of Sarah. To come and teach us a very, very important foundation, that the woman is the source of the bracha. The woman is the source of all the blessing. Now, I mentioned before, it's a special parasha. There are many beautiful parashot. 5 of them are named after a man, and this is the only parasha that is named after a woman. It comes to teach me this is the parasha of the ladies. And we know this is based on the teachings of the Talmud and many other sages and sources, that the woman is the source of blessing. Now comes a big question. If we know that the woman is a source of blessing, then we have 2 questions. First of all, one question has to do with the sacrifice of Yitzchak last parasha. You know, we're holding up until today this sacrifice as a merit to our nation. Every time that we want to plead our case with Hashem, we bring up the story of the Akedah. Oh, but my father, Avraham, he sacrificed his son. And up until today, it's serving to us as a very strong merit. And you know, we're always looking for connections. You know, they say in the world, it's not what you know, it's who you know. You're getting involved in some type of an issue, you start asking questions. Maybe I know the judge, maybe I know the owner. Where if I know somebody, you're able to move things around, pulling strings. Here in Israel, it's called protectiot. If you have a protectia, then things move a little bit smoother than usual. So, yeah, everywhere. It's who you know. And if you know the right person, you will be able to go ahead and get ahead. Exactly. Now we use the Akedah, the story of the sacrifice, as a protectia. Every time we see in our history, even Moshe Rabbeinu used it, and many others, that when we are not in such a great place, we remind the Kadosh Baruch Hu, you know, you remember the Akedah that Avraham Avinu went and sacrificed his son. This should hold us as a zchut, as a merit. Now comes a question, since we mentioned that the woman is the source of blessing, which we're going to really explain what does it mean, why, and why is it so important. But the first question that comes up is, if Sarah is so special and the story of the Akedah is so dominating in our history, you know that when Sarah heard about the Akedah, she died. That's where this parasha comes into, that Sarah died right after she heard about the Akedah. And if this is the case, isn't it showing that Sarah had some type of a deficiency, a chisaron, that she hears about such a great thing and that would cause her to die? You would think that will cause her happiness. So first of all, we understand, thank you. First of all, we understand that Sarah didn't agree to the Akedah. When Avraham Avinu left in the morning, he didn't tell her where he's going. He just told her, no, we just have some business to do. If she would know about it, she would not agree to it. But more than that, we know that a man can actually digest such a message, and a woman can't. The man can digest the fact that the son has to be sacrificed. Sarah could not digest, she could not fathom such a thing. What, you're going to slaughter, you're going to kill my son? Because the role of the mother is for the kids to have life, not for them not to have life. You see that the mother, you know, we have a saying, a Yiddish mama, that the mom wants to constantly make sure that the child eats and he's warm and he's secure. There's a story, there was a big tzaddik, his name is Rabbi Shlomo Mizvil, a very big Rebbe in Yerushalayim. And the story says that every time he used to visit the tomb of Rachel Imenu, when he used to go to Kever Rachel, he would eat before that. And this is not a custom to eat before you go to a grave of a tzaddik. We actually fast before we go to the grave. And he would eat before going to the grave of Rachel Imenu. And when they asked him, why do you eat? So he says, I'm going to visit my mom. I'm going to visit my mother. And she wants me to come full. She doesn't want me to come hungry. So I have to eat. I'm going to visit mama. So I have to eat. So she's going to be happy and satisfied and that I came with food in my stomach. This is a big tzaddik. So we know there is this concept about, we call it a Yiddish mama, but even though all the mothers in the world, from all nations, they all have this quality that they want the kid to be alive, to be happy. And father is a little bit more rough around the edges. So Avraham Avinu was able to digest such a thing. Okay, I have to sacrifice my son. Sarah was like, no, I don't care. This is where I draw the line. Now, this is one question. Why Sarah didn't agree with it? And it kind of shows that she has maybe a lack of faith, or maybe a chisaron, some deficiency, she's lacking something. Now the next question is, everybody wants a blessing in their home. Everybody, you buy a new home, you call the rabbi, please come and put mezuzot, you do a Chanukat Bayit, everybody wants to have blessing. And we want to have blessing in our life. I don't know anybody that says, you know what, I want to have a bad life. I want nothing to work out. Who says that? Everybody in one way or another says, of course I want a blessing. I want to have a wife, and I want to have kids, and I want to have parnasa and health, and who doesn't want to have a blessing? Everybody. Every time you meet a big rabbi, you come and ask for a bracha. So Sarah, for example, where do you see that she was the source of the bracha? Because all the bracha that we ask for, she brought it. Now we have 3 concepts that she brought as a proof that she was the source of the bracha. The first of all was that the bread in her house remained the entire week. Not only did it remain fresh, but there was a lot of it. The guests would come and constantly was bread, and it never ended. And this is representing the parnasa, the livelihood, that constantly they had bread in the house. Then it says that when she lit up candles on Shabbat, the candles were light from Shabbat to Shabbat. It didn't turn out. Here you light a candle, after 4 hours, the candle's out. The Sarah Imenu, the candle just went on and on and on. And this, of course, represents the spirituality, the ruchaniyut in the home, that the candle was lit the entire week. And above the tent, they had a little cloud hovering over the tent, and that represents the dwelling of the Shekhinah. When in the house there's parnasa, and which the physicality and the spirituality, the ruchaniyut, then the Shekhinah dwells on the house. Now, the word bracha in Hebrew, if you translate it, it's blessing. But in the words in Hebrew makes much more sense than the words in English. The word bracha in Hebrew comes from the root barech, bet, reish, and chaf. And what is really a bracha is that the little will be enough for a lot. Not that I get a lot of something. Rather that what I have will be enough. Sometimes you go into the supermarket and you only have 100 shekels, $100. And suddenly there's a sale, everything is buy one, get 3 free, and your 100 shekels, your $100, whatever the currency, it is enough for many things. That's a real bracha. The little that I have is enough for a lot. And the opposite of the bracha is I can have a lot of money, but there's no bracha in the money, then I will go now and there will be inflation and now the price is 4 times higher, and hey, usually I pay a fraction. No, that's the price. Suddenly my money doesn't have much of a value. So the real bracha is when I'm able to benefit from a little bit, like as if I had a lot. That's the real bracha. Now the word in Hebrew bracha comes from the root barech, bet resh chet. This is called otiyot kfulot. Otiyot kfulot, it means that the letter before that is double than that. So for example, bracha starts with a bit. The numerical value of bit is 2. So 1 plus 1, aleph, the letter before that, the numerical value is 1. If you do 1 plus 1 will be 2. And the same thing with resh. Doubles the time kuf is resh. Resh is 200 and kuf is 100. 100 times 2 is 200. There are only a few letters like that. If you take mem and the letter before mem is lamed, lamed is the numerical value of 30. Do 30 times 2 is 60. It's not 40. So there's not a lot of letters like that. This is called otiyot kfulot. That the letter before it, if you double it, will give you that amount. So kuf is 100, the numerical value. Resh is 200. 100 plus 100 is 200. So you're not going to get it without the letters. And kaf, the same thing. 10 and 10 is 20. Kaf is 20. 10 is yud, is 10 and 10 is 20. So the letters akfulot means the real bracha is that you have double from something little. I don't have to have so much money. Sometimes you see people with a little bit of money, they able to do their shopping, they're able to do everything. They get the best deals ever, and then somebody can have a lot of money and they will pay, throughout their nose. Sometimes, not too long ago, I fly a lot, not too long ago I sat on a plane and my ticket was upgraded, I was like in premium. And the person next to me paid like 3 times as much than me. I paid like a real cheap price, and with the upgrade and everything, and the person next to me paid almost 3 times for the ticket. And I said, see, this is bracha. That we're getting the same thing, just I spent much less than you. So, of course, we all want to have a bracha. And Sarah Imenu, where do we see that she was the source of bracha? That the second that she died, all these 3 things disappeared. The candle didn't lit for the whole week, the bread didn't stay fresh, and they didn't have the cloud of glory. When did this bracha came back? When Eliezer brought Rivka. Even though this parasha is talking about the life of Sarah, the whole parasha is talking about Rivka, not about Sarah. And when did this bracha came back? When Rivka came back. Now comes a big question. During the time that Sarah was not there, how many years till Rivka came? 3 years. 3 years Sarah wasn't there. But you know who was there? Avraham Avinu and Yitzchak. 2 huge tzaddikim. They didn't have the merit that the candle will light the whole week. Avraham Avinu has to light a candle. A husband that loses his wife or he goes and travels has to light a candle. When I travel on my trips, my wife lights candles at home. I am where I am, I light candles. Okay, we're not going to get now to the halacha, how you do it, with the bracha, without the bracha. Maybe I can count on the owner. But Avraham Avinu used to light candles. He used to have everything. But Avraham Avinu is not tzaddik enough that this blessing didn't dwell in the tent, and Yitzchak. It goes to show you that the bracha in the house comes from the woman. The husband can be an Avraham Avinu. Doesn't matter. The blessing in the house comes from the house, the mother, the woman. It even says in the Talmud, in the tractate Baba Metzia, that a person has to be very careful with the honor of his wife, because the entire bracha comes from the wife. You have to be very careful. Because if the woman is a queen, then the husband will become a queen and the house will be a palace. But if not, chas v'shalom, a person hurts his wife's feelings or does something against her, that's not a good thing. Now we want to understand something else, that we had a very special event. The whole point of the Akedah was a big simcha, and it has to be interfered with tragedy. After, of course, Yitzchak was not sacrificed, there was a big simcha. Avraham Avinu passed the test, Yitzchak passed the test, Yitzchak was also part of the test, and it was a big event. And now they have to ruin the event now with Sarah's death. Why? Now, how did Sarah even know that there was the Akedah? We know that our sages explained to us, and that the Satan went to Sarah The devil went to Sarah and told her, tell me, where's Avram? I didn't see him for a couple of days. She tells him, I don't know. He went with Yitzchak and they went somewhere. They took his Ishmael, they took Eliezer, and I don't know. So the Satan, being who he is, told her, you didn't hear? What, you don't read newspapers? You didn't hear what happened? Avraham Avinu went to slaughter Yitzchak. Sarah right away started getting very upset. And he says, didn't you hear that Hashem told Avram to go and slaughter Yitzchak and that's where he took him? Now, of course, he tells her right now, as we're speaking, Yitzchak is on the altar. And the Satan was able to show her Yitzchak on the altar and the Avraham Avinu going with a knife. But that was a rerun. It wasn't live. He wasn't streaming it live. It was a rerun and it was already after the Akedah. Sarah saw that, right away died. She saw her son on the altar and right away she died. And that's how the Satan as usual became a party pooper. There was a simcha, Avraham Avinu passed his last test. They're on their way home to make a big event and the Satan has to turn it around and Sarah dies. Now Avraham Avinu has to bury Sarah and he has to buy the land with a lot of money, and which comes to prove to us that we actually own the land. Avraham Avinu bought the land. This is the funniest thing, is that the three places that everybody is arguing about if they're ours or not, were bought by money. And the first one was bought by David HaMelech, and this is the place where Bet HaMikdash is going to be. It's called Har HaMoriah. David HaMelech bought it with money from a person called Arvana, Goren Arvana. He bought it. And he bought it from a certain individual, and this is ours. We actually paid money for that. And the sons of Yaakov, they bought the tomb of Yosef, Kever Yosef. They actually bought it with money. And of course, Avraham Avinu bought the Ma'arat HaMachpelah, the whole plot there. So the three places that are holy, that everybody is arguing if it's ours or not, Har HaMoriah, where right now is Har HaBayit, where Bet HaMikdash is, that was bought by David HaMelech with money, legal money, and the Kever Yosef, there's a lot of arguments, a lot of problems there, that was bought by the sons of Yitzchak, by the sons of Yaakov, and of course Avraham Avinu bought Ma'arat HaMachpelah. But this is off the subject. This is just to make a point that everything that everybody is telling us that we don't own is actually owned by money. We bought it legally. But we see that the party was ended by a tragedy. Avraham Avinu comes and he gives a eulogy? Yeah. Eulogy? Avraham Avinu came lispoda, to give her hesped. I'm pretty sure it's called a eulogy, right? When somebody dies, you give a eulogy. Who do you give a eulogy over? Somebody who's is worth it. You know that according to Halakha, you're not allowed to give a eulogy on somebody that you know they didn't do it. Sometimes you see now in funerals, he was such a great father, he was such a great husband. No, he wasn't. He was a mean father. You're not allowed to say that in the eulogy, because you're arousing judgment against that person. If you can't say anything good, don't say anything. But sometimes you see in funerals, they're saying he was such an unbelievable man, so loving, and no, he wasn't. So you can't say that. But Avraham Avinu gives a eulogy to Sarah Imenu. Now you know what's the eulogy that Avraham Avinu gives Sarah Imenu? We sing it every Friday, Eshet Chayil. Eshet Chayil is the eulogy that Avraham Avinu gave to Sarah. Now we connect it to Shlomo HaMelech. That Shlomo HaMelech wrote it, no? No, Avraham Avinu wrote it. Shlomo HaMelech made a remix. He just bought the rights and he made a copy, so to say, what's called a shichzur. Because Avraham Avinu said the eulogy, but it wasn't written. Shlomo HaMelech repeated it and he wrote it down. But really, Eshet Chayil is Avraham Avinu singing to Sarah. That's what we sing. This is the real Eshet Chayil. Avraham Avinu. Yeah, Shlomo HaMelech compiled it, but he actually heard it from Avraham Avinu. You know, sometimes now, I was joking when I said the remix and buying the rights. Sometimes now it's popular. People go and they buy the rights from songs from, I don't know, the Beatles or Elvis Presley, and they'll make a new song over it, and they buy the rights. So really the one who wrote the Eshet Chayil is Avraham Avinu, but he didn't write it down. It wasn't brought down in a script. Shlomo HaMelech that took it and he rewrote it. And of course we attribute it to Shlomo HaMelech. But how do we know that it's Avraham Avinu? We have Midrashim. I mean, when Avraham Avinu came to sing Eshet Chayil, he started the song Eshet Chayil Mi'imtza. It's the Eshet Chayil is referring to the beauty of Sarah. Sarah was a beautiful, beautiful woman. Even when she was 127 years old, gorgeous woman. And then when he says, we read Eshet Chayil Mi'imtza, we continue and read, there's a verse that says, Batach balev ba'ala. I mean, I hope that you're familiar with the song. We sing it every Friday. But there's a point that we sing Batach balev ba'ala. Her husband trusted her. He put his trust in her. That's referring to the story that when they went down to Mitzrayim, Avraham Avinu was afraid that Sarah would be taken, so he put her in a box. And then the customs, they opened the box and they saw Sarah. And he told her, tell them that you're my sister. If you're going to tell them I'm your husband, they're going to kill me. And he put all his trust in her that she's not going to say anything. This is Batach balev ba'ala. And then we continue and it says, V'shalal lo yechsar. Shalal is goods. It's a lot of money. Lo yechsar, it will not be missing. When they went out of Mitzrayim, Avraham Avinu came with a lot of money. They gave him a lot of money. He came with money and gold and jewelry and cattle and flocks, everything. This is V'shalal lo yechsar. Shalal is when you go to a war and you take everything, how do you call it? The goodies, how do you call it? The spoils. The spoils. This is shalal. I always tell my kids when we go on a road trip. Now we went before Shabbat we weren't here Shabbat. And I told my kids, bring shalal laderech. They don't understand what I'm saying. I told them shalal is, all the goodies. Bring something to the mouth is not going to be tired. It has to go like this all day long. If not, I'm going to have to hear you in the car for 2 hours. So if you get something to chew, you're not going to fight with each other. This is called shalal. So the verse says, V'shalal lo yechsar. They came out with so much money out of Mitzrayim. And then, same thing, Ugmalatu tov velo ra. What was the prize that Avraham Avinu gets? Gamalatu comes from ligmol, I gave to him. He got tov velo ra. Gemalatu tov velo ra. Avraham Avinu only benefited from the fact that Sarah was his wife. Later on they found out that it was his wife. Instead of killing him, they actually benefited him. This is the verse, Gemalatu tov, that he was rewarded good, velo ra, not bad. And then it continues, it says, Darshat tzemer ufishtim. So one opinion says that Sarah Imenu was wearing tzitzit. Right. She was wearing tzitzit. Because tzemer and pishtim is wool and linen. And we do know about certain women in the history that they did mitzvot of the men. The daughters of Rashi used to put tefillin on. And Bruria, exactly. She's the wife of Rabbi Meir. So we do know about many women that they did mitzvot. So one opinion says that Sarah Imenu wore tzitzit. Another opinion says Darsha Tzemer Upishtim, that she was so particular with every mitzvah that she was particular with the mitzvah of shatnez, wool and linen. Not allowed to wear wool and linen. So just again praising the level of Sarah Imenu. Then the tzitzit is a midrash. Then it says Vayta koniyat socher. It was like a merchant, a ship of a merchant. And they went past the river from one side, the river of Jordan, and they passed it into the land of Canaan. So it says on her that she was like a merchant, a ship of a merchant coming from far away with all the merchants that she's bringing in. There's another pasuk that says Vatakam be'od laila, means that she woke up while it was still night. So one explains that when it came to the Akedah, she woke up before them, because it says, Vayashkem Avraham baboker. Avraham woke up very early in the morning. He woke up netz. He would pray very early. It says about Sarah, she woke up even before him. Vatakam be'od laila. She would wake up when it's still night outside. One opinion says it's going on the night of the Akedah, and the other opinion says no, she just woke up early in the morning to make sure that there's food, that the house is organized. She didn't sleep much. Another one, it says, Zamama sadeh vatikacheo. This is referring to the land of the sadeh as a field. Zamama sadeh, she had her eyes on a certain field, vatikacheo, and she took it. Which field is it talking about? When Avraham Avinu came to buy the Mara, the cave, it was on a field, Sde Ephron. This is in our Parashat, you can read it. That he bought the entire field and the cave. Sarah liked the property. She had a good eye in real estate. She was like, this is good property. Go and buy that. She had a very good sense in real estate, and she told Avraham Avinu, I want this property. He went and bought it for her. He could bury her anywhere. That's what Ephron told her. It told Avraham Avinu, bury her wherever you want. It's all yours. Avraham Avinu says, no, I'm buying this land. I'm not letting you just let me bury her. My wife wanted this property, I'm buying it. And he gave him a lot of money, 4,000 shekels, 400 shekels. This is in our terms to buy a little piece of land for $400 million. Like something that is out of proportions, 400 shekels at the time. So, Zamamasa devatikacheo. She wanted that property. Avraham Avinu says, I'm buying it to my wife. So we see that the Eshet Chayil is really going on Sarah Imenu. And Avraham Avinu saw her as his Eshet Chayil, as my I don't even know how to translate Eshet Chayil. The woman of of valor. Okay, so Avraham Avinu really recognized the value of his wife, and he saw how amazing she is. Now after all this comes Eliezer, and Avraham Avinu tells him, listen, go and get a daughter from my son. He needs to get married. Get her a daughter. But what does he tell him? Don't go around here. Go far away. Bring me something quality. Now, it says that Yitzchak brought Rivka to his tent, to the tent of his mother, and right away Yitzchak sees all the miracles. He brings this little girl. Rivka is 3 years old. Yitzchak is 37 years old. Well, by then he was already 40. And they're bringing this little girl, a 3-year-old girl. And as she's walking close to the tent, whoop, Yitzchak sees all the miracles. That's where he knew, that's the one. Now Yitzchak waits 20 years till she will become an adult. Yitzchak was 60 years old when they first went together. He waited. But Yitzchak sees the miracle and says, okay, that's the one. She's the woman. She's going to now take over my wife. So we see that the Torah goes out of its way to emphasize the power of the woman. Not only the power of the woman, the value of the woman. Torah really goes around. I mean, the Torah doesn't say something long. The Torah usually cuts things as short as possible. And here the Torah goes all out of its way to talk about the miraculous acts of Sarah and Rivka and how amazing they were and so forth. Now, when Avraham Avinu is asking Eliezer to bring a wife to his son, he's telling him, don't go here around the neighborhood, go far away, and bring me a girl from my family. Which comes a big question, really? What's so great about your family? You come from a family of idol worshippers. Why do you want a girl from your family? Isn't there nice families around here that are not coming from idol worshippers? So Avraham Avinu says, you're right. I know my family is coming from idol worship. I mean, Avraham Avinu's father was the big merchant of idol worship. Avraham Avinu came from a very not holy family. But he still requested that Eliezer will bring a girl from his own family, because Avraham Avinu says, listen, I know where my family comes from. I know who they are. But the next generation doesn't mean that they follow the same path. I know who my family are. Same thing with Avraham Avinu. His father was an idol worshiper. It doesn't mean that it affected Avraham Avinu. And Avraham Avinu says, I know all of them are idol worshippers, Lavan and all these places, but it doesn't mean that it will affect the next generation. It doesn't mean that Rivka will be. And what is the reason? What is the common sense behind it? So we know there's two disadvantages in the world. What's called a chisaron. The first disadvantage is called ideology, ideologia. How I am brought up to my opinions that I'm acquiring throughout my life. Why is this a disadvantage? Because I can develop any ideology that I want. The thing is that my ideology will not necessarily affect my kids. And how I think, it doesn't mean that's how my parents think. I develop my thought based on my surroundings, my common sense, my experiences. And it doesn't mean, for example, that if the father desecrates Shabbat, it means that the kid, doesn't mean the kid will desecrate Shabbat. I mean, look at all of us. Most of us here are either Baal Tshuvas or converts. My father never observed Shabbat, so it means that I can't observe Shabbat. This is his ideology, and it's mine. I do believe in God. I do believe in the Torah. Does it mean that up to now my parents should believe or that I go by my parents? No, this is my ideology, and it doesn't mean that it will affect the generation. The second disadvantage is called character. In Hebrew it's called ofi. That is actually given by the family. If I will grow up in a very aggressive home, I will become very aggressive. If I will grow in a very charitable house with good midot, then it will affect me. So again, nothing is black and white. But my character, I bring from my family. Usually they say the apple doesn't go far away from the tree. So of course, this is two different things. The ideology is one thing. They can grow in a certain house and you will have a completely different opinion about many things. But character is hard to change. The ideology, you can believe in something one day and the next day you'll be convinced and you'll think you'll believe something else. Character is very hard to change. You can have a certain character trait and that will stay with you. It won't change so easy. Ooh, it can take you 50 years to change your character. Now when it came to idol worship in the family of Avraham Avinu says, you know what? I can deal with the idol worship in the father and the house of Rivka. I came from there. I know how to deal with it. But I care about the character, about the ofi. That has nothing to do with her parents. I will bring her into my home when she's 3 years old. I'll change her character. She can come from a house of idol worshippers. That I will deal with. I can get her away from that. That's idolatry. They believe in idols. I can change that if I want. But the character, give it to me when she's 3 years old. She'll grow in my home. I will develop her character to be how I want to. So that's why Avraham says, go and get her from my family, because I know she's made out of good material. Yes, they are the worshippers. But the core is coming from a good place. I can work with her. And that's exactly what happened. They brought her when she was 3 years old. So, kind of to conclude it, we see that Rivka was the daughter of idol worshippers. Look where she came out from Haran. Later on, her son goes there. Lavan and everything that's going on there. That's where Rivka came out from. But the second that they brought her home to the house of Yitzchak, first of all, right away we saw the miracles. Right away happened. That's where Yitzchak says, he brought her into the tent. In the beginning, he says, no, that's my mom's tent. You can't go in there. The second that she came close to the tent, candle lit up for the whole week, the challah, the cloud. He says, now I see you have the same quality of my mom. You can come into the tent. And of course, he waited till he really actually married her. But the second that he brought her into the home flourished. So we're going back again to where we started, that we see how the miracles were only by the mothers, not the fathers. Yitzchak was a complete tzaddik. Even though, one can argue and say later on Esav came out of him. Okay, Also from Avraham Avinu came Ishmael. It was only Yaakov that no bad came out. But Yitzchak was a great tzaddik. Same with Avraham Avinu. And for 3 years when Sarah was not there, nothing. Full gas in neutral, nothing was happening. The second that Rivka comes, whoop, everything comes back. So again we see how the merit, the blessing in the home came from the mothers. There's a story in the Talmud, this can be found in the tractate Ta'anit, and it's talking about different times that there was a famine. And there was once a famine, and there wasn't rain. One winter comes, no rain. Another winter comes, no rain. Third winter comes, no rain. Everybody's getting worried. What's going to happen? We don't have any more crops. We're going to not have any more food. What are we going to do? It says that they went to a certain individual, that his name was Abba Chilkiah. It happens to be that he was the grandson of Choni HaMe'agel. You ever heard of Choni HaMe'agel? The individual that made a circle and he stood there till rain came down. So this is Choni HaMe'agel. His name was Choni. Me'agel, that he went and stood and he made a circle around him and he says to Hashem, I'm not coming out of the circle till you bring rain. So, and of course it worked. So in that generation they didn't have rain for a couple of years, so they went to his grandson, whose name was Abba Chilkiah, that was his name. And they went and told him, can you do us a favor? You are the grandson of Choni. Maybe you go pray for water, we don't have rain. He says, no problem, let me finish what I'm doing and I'll go up on the roof. He goes up on the roof, and who does he take with him? His wife. They're both standing on the roof. One is standing on one side, the husband is over there, the wife is over there, and they start praying. Sure enough, as they're praying, within 2-3 hours, the sky is starting to get dark, clouds are forming, and sure enough, later on, it starts raining. When they went off, the students approached him and told him, we noticed that the clouds came from your wife's side. They weren't coming from your side. Why is that? How come the clouds that later on brought the rain came from your wife's side? So he said, she has a merit that I don't have. I can be a great tzaddik, but my wife has a special merit that I don't have. A special quality that I don't possess. So the clouds were coming from her side. I went up to this roof. You see me all as this big rabbi, big tzaddik, but I had to bring my wife with me. She's the bracha. She's the merit. That's what he answered them. And Bechlal we see in many types of stories and situations that a poor person will come to a man and tell him, I'm hungry. The man will give him a coin or will give him money. Rather, in other cases, you'll see the woman will say, come, I'll make you something to eat. Coin, a coin doesn't mean much. Or a bill, because it means you have to go now to the store and get the food and start cooking, and it might get burnt and you might not eat and it's going to take you a few hours. A man will just give out a bill. A woman will say, come, I have food ready for you, come and just eat. This is the difference between a man and a woman. Not to chas v'shalom put any man down, but men live in some type of, we call it in Hebrew, dimyonot, imaginary worlds. You see many men, they come, I will invest and I'll buy and I'll sell and they're living in all sorts of fantasies. And the wife is like, what are you talking about? Where are you bringing that from? Land down to this world. Stop fantasizing, and I mean, I'm a man too, but I'm saying usually men are in some type of a different realm. They dream a lot, they think, and the woman looks at them like, what? Land on this world and go work, and don't now start fantasizing all sorts of things. And so this is the foundation of the whole thing. That in order to have a blessing in the home, it needs to come through who's in the home. Because the husband usually is the one who will go out and work, or who will be out there. If he doesn't go and work, so he goes in prayers, he goes and studies. The woman is around the house. She usually will be close to the kids. Not that I'm chas v'shalom now putting categories. There's nothing wrong with the husband cleaning the house or cooking too. But usually the woman is more involved in the house, not because she's the better cook. I know men that are very good cooks. It's not now a prejudice things that with women and men. That's why I gave the example. When a person is hungry, a man will give him money. Here, go eat. The woman looks at it in a completely different sense. She says, I have food ready. Come and eat it. Women more care about a husband. You know, there's a joke that once there was a husband and he saw how his wife is working so hard. So he said, my dear wife, here's a ticket, go on a vacation. I will take care of everything. You just go and rest. The first day he wakes up 5 o'clock in the morning, starts making sandwiches, gets the kids all dressed up, sends them all to school. And he sends all the older kids to school with sandwiches, clothes, everything is perfect. And then there's only left the youngest daughter. He makes her a sandwich, puts on her bag, and the problem is, he doesn't know in which kindergarten she is. You know, I'm never home. I don't know where the kindergarten even is. I don't know where the kindergarten is. So he starts walking around in the neighborhood. He goes into the first kindergarten. Is this girl studies here? No? Okay, I'm sorry. Goes to the next kindergarten. Tell me, is my daughter part of your kindergarten? No. And after about a couple dozen kindergartens, the daughter tells him, Abba, Dad, if we're going to waste our morning running from kindergarten to kindergarten, I'll never make it to school. So the father, it can be a loving father and caring father. He doesn't even know which class the child goes to. Oh, you're in first grade? Oh, I didn't know. So that's usually the case. Of course, chas v'shalom, this is a joke. This is not now, chas v'shalom, putting some fathers are amazing fathers. It's not what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is that sometimes the father is just busy with parnasah and working or studying or learning, whatever it is. The woman is more into the details of every child, what they wore, what they ate, they didn't eat. That's the nature of a woman. And most men, they live in some different atmosphere. Like Avraham Avinu. Avraham Avinu was a dreamer. Avraham Avinu was a dreamer. I'm going to make a whole center for the converts, and I'm going to make a hotel, and I'm going to make this. And he came with all these ideas, but who do you think made it actually happen? Avram and Sarah, they had a hotel, and they had a whole center. People would come, they would convert them. Avram Avinu his mind was somewhere else, and Sarah was the one who was cutting the salad to give in the hotel and in the what's called achsania. So usually that's the case, that the men are more living in the world above. That's why you see that most of our sages and the tzaddikim are all men. These are the scholars. They would sit, and you think Rashi ever cut a salad? Rashi would sit all day long with the tefillin on him and the talis, and writing interpretations and commentary on the entire Torah, and he was in a world above. He didn't live in this world. So his wife came to his room with food and soup and salad. Here, eat. And he would, like my wife, she gives me, I didn't eat anything. I just put one in my mouth, and same idea. You know, the man is usually in a completely different place. The woman is more grounded. Even in the Sfirot, the man comes from the Sfirot from above, that's called the Mochin, but the woman, she's a manifestation of the Sfirah that's called Malchut. Down in this world, Malchut Cha, Malchut Kol Olamim. Where is the Malchut in this world? And the woman is a manifestation of the Sfirah of Malchut. So in order to get the blessing in the physical level, it has to be attached to somebody that is more involved in the physical level. And that's why Sarah couldn't hear about the Akedah. It was way about her vessel, above it. Avraham Avinu was able to digest. Okay, I have to slaughter my son. Sarah couldn't fathom the idea. What, I'm going to kill my son? I brought him into the world to nourish him, to raise him. I can't accept such a thing. That's where Sarah, because Sarah was down to earth, she was realistic. That's why she couldn't accept the concept of the Akedah. But what we learn from that is that a woman has a much greater connection to the physicality, much more practical. Show me. A man can be like, don't worry, I'll make it work. Don't worry. The woman says, I don't count on don't worry. Show me substantial information. Just don't tell me don't worry. You know, there's a story once that a certain individual came for a certain blessing from his Rabbi. And he, unfortunately, he didn't have kids. Every year he would go to his Rabbi and tell him, Rabbi, give me a blessing for a bracha. Give me a bracha for kids. And every time he didn't get a blessing. One time he walked in and he told the Rabbi, please give me a blessing for a kid. Suddenly the Rabbi gives him, ooh, what a blessing. From here till tomorrow. The Chassid saw, ooh, now it's an auspicious time. The Rebbe's on a roll. Let me ask for more. Because I see the Rebbe's now is an auspicious time. He's giving me a bracha now to get a child. So it says to the Rebbe, I have another request. I want my child to be a tzaddik like you. The Rebbe says, I'm very sorry. This has nothing to do with me because this child is not going to have my mother as a mother. So he says he needs to have my mother as a mother. I can give you a blessing for him to have a kid. But if you want the kid to be a tzaddik like me, that has nothing to do with me. Meaning that my mother shaped me. She brought me to where I am. So, to summarize it all up, is that if you are referring to the women, then the women need to understand their value. How powerful they are. That they are the source of the bracha. Now when you know how valuable you are, you should and you need to operate in that level. Of course, not to take it to an ego, to your own ego, and to say, oh, I'm so special, I'm the source of the bracha, I'm everything here. Rather to understand, to know your value. And not to chas v'shalom let anybody put you lower than what you are. Many times it's the man that will make the woman feel you're not so valuable. I'm much smarter, I'm the provider, I'm this, I'm that. No. A woman should stand firm and say, no, I know my value in the house. And the bracha is depending on me. And of course the woman should inspire her to say, oh, I am the source of the bracha, so I have to work on myself. That my thoughts are pure, my talk is pure, that I'm dressed in a modest way, that the kitchen is the highest standard of kashrut, that the Shabbat is the Shabbat. I am the one, I have responsibility here. Now if you're referring to the man has to say, wait a minute, you're great, but you have also an amazing woman. You have to appreciate what Hashem gave to you. You have to appreciate the fact that you even have a woman, because many men don't even have a wife. So either way you're looking at it, this parasha comes to teach me the role of a woman in the world. I mean, we're talking here about Judaism, but this is to everything, to every nation. A woman is a very valuable individual in the household. Hashem looks at the women in such a high level that He gave them the power to bring life. A woman can bring birth. A man cannot do anything. He can do whatever he wants. He's never going to be able to bring a baby. That's where you see the value of the woman in Hashem's eyes. He says, oh, she's going to be the one who carries the babies. Because in the beginning of Adam and Chava were attached. There was one body. One face in the front, one face in the back. And they were split. Hashem says, the woman is the one who's going to be bringing the babies. Meaning that Hashem says, she's the one who has much more power. I don't do anything. I just deliver the merchandise and that's it. So the point we want to take from that is, again, for the women to know how valuable they are, that should inspire them to hold themselves in that level, and not to feel that they're chas v'shalom lower or degraded or don't have any value. And for the man is to see the value in the woman, and to know the bracha does come from the woman, because the woman is the foundation of the house. The husband can go. You know that a husband can go and study all week Torah from morning to night. If the woman, when she lights candles on Friday, doesn't accept his Torah will stay out. It's worthless. The woman, when she lights candles, have to accept her husband into the home. She has to invite him into the home and accept his Torah and accept his learning and accept his mitzvot and everything. So either way you're looking at it, we have to understand that the level of the house and the bracha in this world, especially in my home, is dependent on the woman. So I'll repeat it again. The woman has to understand her value, and that's what should inspire her. And the man should understand, this is my wife. I have to value my wife in order for me to gain this bracha I have to make my wife a queen, so that way I will become a king. B'ezrat Hashem, if we live by that, with a little bit more respect, it says that the real Ahavat Israel, the real mitzvah of Ahavat Israel is between a husband and wife. Not in the street and with co-workers and other people. The real Ahavat Israel is between the husband and wife. So we learn also another solid foundation here, the importance of the life of marriage. And life with marriage is not only about walking hand in hand into the sunset. It's nothing about that. That only works in the movies. The life of a marriage is to refine each other, to bring the best out of my spouse. And it comes with sacrifice, because it doesn't always work how I want it to work. But really the foundation of marriage is to see how am I completing my other half, and how the other half is bringing the best out of me. And if we know how to apply it, that's when we have a good mixture of the physical and the spiritual, and that's how we have the dwelling of the clouds of glory, like they had in the tent of Sarah, the Anan, the cloud that was coming on and hovering over. That's called Hashra'at HaShechina. The Shechina, the manifestation of the Shechina, is coming and dwelling on the person's head, on the person's house. That's really how we get the Shechina to come and dwell on us. B'ezrat Hashem, if we do that and we work a little bit more on our marriage and relationships and our Ahavat Israel to our spouse, needless to say that will hasten the coming of Mashiach. B'ezrat Hashem, we should see the ultimate marriage between the Kadosh Baruch Hu and the Shekhinah. B'ezrat Hashem, it should happen very speedy in our days. We should have a beautiful, restful week.